this SBIR, STTR program. And we are partnering with them because we are what's called a power connector. We are one of 6 power connectors that work to support the American-made challenges. And we get asked often to help support different programs. SBIR and STTR is a program that we've supported in the past and have a good track record in. It's been something that the UACI has been successful in supporting innovators in over the last many years. As we're a power connector, we've shared with this before, but if you're new to the group, that we're part of a larger network where there's many resources in our region that are identified specifically to help innovators bring along their what they're working on. And I'm sorry, I lost something here on my slide, but so if you have any questions or you're looking for a particular resource, you can reach out to Casey and I, and we can help you locate or connect with someone in our area or even throughout the nation that might help you on a particular part of your company or business or innovation. And if you've had a chance to look over the topics and you have identified maybe an area that you're looking to apply to, we are specifically asked to support these topics 15, 16, and 18. But that doesn't mean that we can't help guide you if there's other topics that you're looking at. So please feel free to reach out and we can try to connect you with resources in the topics that you're looking to apply to. But these are what we were specifically asked to support and can help you find resources in these areas. Again, on the SBIR federal website, you can see kind of all the detailed dates and information you need to get to the topics and find out more information about the topics, and also give you the deadlines that you'll need to be aware of as you work through this process. So here is just kind of a quick glance at our timeline. As you can see, we're nearing the date where the FOA will be issued, and so that will be something to keep an eye out. And then DOE will do a specific FOA webinar on December 17th. And really importantly, what we'll be talking today is preparing your LOI, which is due on January 3rd. And so that will be something that you really need to keep an eye on these dates. And as you see, we've aligned different webinars and topics to align with those due dates. And so today we're going to dive into the first most important item to prepare you for that January deadline, which is how to prepare your LOI. But then next week, we'll be talking about finding the right topics, answering questions specifically about topics. Then we'll talk about writing your proposal, evaluation criteria, and legal process and data rights. And if you have successfully written your letter of intent and received a response, then you'll want to join us for our commercialization workshops, which start in January. And so now on to our speaker. If you were here on Tuesday, then you met Sonia, but she is the founder and president of OPPSSPOT. She also works with UACI as a subject matter expert and works with the companies that we support specifically on grants and contracts with a specialty in SBIR and STTRs. And she has a long history and some great expertise. So welcome, Sonia, and I'll turn it over to you now.
Thanks, Amanda. I see a few familiar names and faces again on today's webinar, so thank you for joining us back again. So let me share my presentation for today. Open it and come back in here and share. So you see the slides?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and then we'll do what we did last time with switching. Where was that? Display settings right there, right? Swap.
Yep.
You got it? There.
Looks good.
We're good to go. So thanks everybody for joining us again. On Tuesday, we went through an overview of the DOE SBIR program and process. And today we're going to go a little bit deeper into the letters of intent, or LOIs. Amanda did a really good job on introducing me, so I'm not going to talk about me. But the objective of today will be to go over some of the registrations you're going to be needing and an overview of the letters of intent or LOIs. So today won't be a very long session, and we can focus on questions either from last time or today, but basically one of the important things you'll have to do before you even submit an application is register in a bunch of sites. And each agency has different, unfortunately, there's no consistency. Each agency will have a different process, but DOE requires you to be registering on all of these. And for the letter of intent, you'll have to register on PAMS. But let me give you just a rundown of the other locations that you have to be registering. So you'll have to register on grants.gov, and you're also going to be having to register for SAM. SAM is the big site that will maintain all the information about you, your company, and the different people that have different roles. And in the past, it was requiring a DUNS, and I believe they're just changing now to what they're going to call a unique entity identifier. So for the new applicants, that's what's going to happen. You might not require a DUNS, but for now, usually what I recommend is you create your company, LLC or corporation. You register with DUNS to get a DUNS number. You'll need a bank account, and you're going to need a tax ID, or an EIN. And those three will be required for SAM, at least the way that I know of it as of a few months ago. And like I said, DUNS might not be a requirement anymore. They'll create a unique UEI. So once you have your SAM, you could go and register on grants.gov. And each of these sites will have individual instructions for registering, and the DOE does a good job once the funding opportunity announcement or FOA comes out. They'll give you further instructions of what you have to do. So I'm just going to touch on it now, but be aware that the solicitation has not come out. It will come out shortly, so you still will have to review it and make sure that this still applies. So that's a huge FYI, right? So this will just give you a flavor of what you will have to do. So for the LOI, you're going to require for sure to register to PAMS and submit your LOI as well as your proposal through PAMS, okay? And I think someone reached out to me a couple days ago or yesterday saying, well, I haven't started SAM and all that yet. Can I still register? My answer is most likely yes, you could submit your LOI on PAMS without having SAM, but review when that FOA comes out if that's the case, right? But by the time you submit your proposal, you will need to have all the other registrations complete and approved, okay? So don't just rely, okay, I did my LOI, I can do the solicitation and proposal application. No, make sure that you still register to all of that. So beating this like a dead horse. So, okay. So as far as the letter of intent, it is a requirement to submit your proposal. So if you do not submit an LOI, you will not be able to submit a proposal. And not agencies require this. DOE for their SBIRs and STTRs does, okay? And it's not a very complicated piece of document. It's at most 2 pages. And it just has to be concise and to the point. So it is a requirement. And the purpose is basically twofold, right? Are you being responsive to the topic? And if you're not, you're going to hear back from them. But the other biggest reason is so that the DOE can find the right reviewers in anticipation of who's going to be submitting proposals. Right? So they will want to have the best subject matter experts given the topics and the capabilities and the different proposals that are going to be coming in. And it's going to be due, like Amanda mentioned, on January 3rd. So I suggest you submit it before the holidays start so that you don't have to rush. And if you ever work with me, I like to do things ahead of time, and I'm very much a pusher for delivering things early as opposed to waiting for the last minute, because not only are you going to be prone for making mistakes when you leave things for the last minute, but there's also the possibility that their systems, the agency systems, are overloaded, and or something happens, or Murphy's Law occurs for some reason. When I submit last minute, my internet goes down. So then you have to run to your closest Starbucks to cross your fingers. But there's always a chance for mistakes when you're leaving things for the last minute. So note that the DOE, at least before the last fall came out, you can't submit more than 10 applications. Verify that that's the case in the last solicitation when it comes in. And I don't anticipate that any of you will have so many proposals, but some companies are still small but large enough to have a lot of great ideas, right? So they submit many proposals. And keep in mind that you might have various solutions or different applications of your solutions for a same topic. So you can do that. You just have to make sure that you make it very clear in your proposal and your reviewers and your letters of intent what the differences are. But in most cases, in my experiences, if you submit more than one proposal to a same topic, DOE tends to be, and other agencies, risk averse, and they'll just choose one of them. So keep that in mind. So we went through that. What does the content look like? So you've got to for sure identify yourself, your business, who you are, your name, your address, who's the business official, who's the contact, who's going to be the principal investigator or PI. If you're going to have subcontractors or consultants, you've got to list them here too. And then you've got to say if you're submitting phase 1, phase 2, is it going to be an SBIR, STTR? What's going to be your title of your proposal? And identify the topic and subtopic, because as you've seen in the current list of topics, there's a high-level topic that's associated generally with program office, and then there's subtopics. And then the most important component of the LOI is going to be that abstract, which cannot be more than 500 words, okay? And so 500 words or less should be sufficient to identify what is important about your technology, and what you're delivering to what topic, and why it's responsive to a particular topic, right? And it has to be enough for them to be able to identify who would be a good reviewer to assign. And also make sure it's non-proprietary. I have questions. It's like, well, the stuff I'm doing is proprietary. If you can't explain what you're doing in non-proprietary way, get someone to help you to do that, because a lot of these abstract summaries become public once you win. And so you don't want to be giving out your secret sauce, but you got to be able to have a way to describe who you are and what you do in a non-proprietary way that is kind of like a fish hook, right? It's good enough to have people be interested in what you're doing. And at UACI, we practice a lot in having you be able to succinctly describe your technology and who you are, sort of like an elevator pitch. Here, your elevator pitch is going to be less than 500 words. So again, your abstract, no more than 500 words. It must not exceed 2 pages. And I like, you have 2 pages, you have 500 words. If you have a figure, include it. I like figures. It tells the story, and but make sure that your figure is a good one, right? Not distracting and tells more about the approach, but tells about what the technology is. And then clearly explain what you're going to be doing and why it's responsive to the topic. And again, no proprietary information. Let me see, I've got to move our pictures here. And another point here is sometimes you might change a little bit your approach and a little bit of what you're going to be doing on your proposal itself. So don't be afraid. You might change things slightly between your abstract and what you actually do, but for the most part, it has to be substantially the same, right? Because they chose the right people to review this. So make sure that you don't change and submit a proposal that doesn't fit what you said you were going to do. Okay, so just be careful with that. And if they like what you submit, you're not going to hear back from them. So don't be waiting. But if you're not being responsive to the topic you chose, you will hear about it. Okay, and you're not going to get much feedback. It's just going to be you're not responsive. And that's it. You don't get a second chance. You got to wait again another year for the topics to come out. Here's an example. I did not use anything from other companies because normally I work under NDAs, but this is what the DOE uses to show as an example. And it's very easy. I highlighted what makes it a good abstract. And you see, this is very short. It's not very long. It doesn't take more than half a page, but it does the job. So there's two components to the abstract. You've got to explain what you're doing and why you're responsive to the subtopic. So you will see here, this ABC company is telling us what they're going to be developing, but they're also going and saying, here's the topic 4B. But what I liked about it is that as part of the DOE, they have this $150 per kilowatt hour cost target, right? That's one of the major missions or things that the DOE is going after, at least was when this particular example was put together. So they're tying in what they're doing. They're tying it to the mission of that program office that the topic belongs to, and they're telling it why it's responsive to what topic. Okay, so it does that, and it does it in 2 sentences, right? So it tells the story really fast and easy. And then the next thing you go is into detail about what you're going to be doing so that they can select appropriate reviewers. And what I like about this one too is that they're saying what they're going to be doing on a phase 1, right? So they broke it down as to this is our technology and this is what we plan to be doing on the phase 1. And then they're collaborating. So they specify who they're going to be collaborating and why and what they're doing. So I like this example, and keep in mind, no proprietary information. Any questions so far, Casey or Amanda?
Sonia, yes, actually. So back to the UEI versus the DUNS number. Brian shared that he already has a DUNS number. Does that mean you also do need to get the UEI as well?
I think that if you have a DUNS number, it doesn't hurt, but I have not gone through the application on SAM for any new company right now, and this is fairly new. So I am not sure if in the application, as you're going through the pages in SAM, if it will ask you for DUNS or not for the new applicants. So if you already have a DUNS number, it won't hurt. And so right now, because I have not done a SAM application independently, I would recommend go ahead and get a DUNS and start your SAM registration and see what they ask you. DUNS will take a
We
couple
can
of weeks.
also ask our DOE representative to clarify
that?
that. And I said we can also ask our DOE representative for clarification on that and include that in our
Yes,
follow-up.
yes. And like I said before, I have found if you are doing this with sufficient time, I have found the responsiveness of the agencies, their help desk, very useful. So some people have had bad experiences, but I have happened to have good experience. Even in the worst cases when I've left it to the end, where you're just like on your knees begging, I've had good help. Then it's just a matter of time. But if you have questions with regards to that, I always say go directly to the source and ask. So if it's a SAM question, ask the SAM help desk. If it's a grants.gov question, ask grants.gov, right? Because I have found that if I ask a SAM question to grants.gov, they'll send me back to SAM and vice versa. So, but you have plenty of time now. And I say plenty, but plenty gets reduced real fast the longer you wait. Right? It seems like that the deadlines come in really quick. So do it today.
And I think, David, do you still have a question? I saw your hand go up and then go down.
Yeah. When I register for the in the grant and the SAM, it asks for the DUNS number. So it can give you the UIE, but however, you have to wait for what they call a cage code.
Page code, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that will take a couple weeks.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so I submitted everything already. So now I'm just waiting for the cage code in order to complete the grant.gov, right? You need that cage code to go on, right?
Well, the cage code, I have found that usually the cage code is used by the DOD. But so SAM creates a cage code for you. And once you have all that, you could go to the SBIR.gov or for your SBA registration, and it will create a registration number that will be used for you to enter in most of the SBIR applications. So it's like a certificate, and it will have summarized your a number, a registration certificate number for SBIR.gov and SBA, and it will show your DUNS and it will show your cage. So in this transition, quite frankly, I'm curious to see if the DUNS will go away completely and they're just going to use a UIE. But based on what you're saying right now, there's kind of in transition and still asking for the DUNS.
Yeah, they ask for the DUNS and then you have to, everything that you put into the SAM have to be exactly identical to what you registered DUNS. Even if a space is out of space, it won't recognize it.
Yeah. Make sure that all the information is as much, identical, your address, everything, because otherwise it won't match. And it's a pain, quite frankly, that it is. But and changing your company name, or even something as changing your company's office location is a pain, by the way. And you have to do it the way it is right now, is you do it through the DUNS government component, and it's kind of a painful process. And once DUNS recognizes your new location or your new name, then and only then does SAM pick up the change. Yeah, thank you, David, for the information. I'm glad that you're doing it now and can share actually what's going on. Any other question? Nope.
Well, I don't have a question, but I found a template for the letter of intent.
Okay.
On the internet.
Awesome. So yeah,
it's very similar to what you put up here for the example.
Okay. And you know, you could give it your own personality and company culture feeling. That's nothing wrong with that. So this is just the abstract component. So I like to put on the top of the first page all the company info. I like to put this on the top, then the abstract. But I've seen it where they put the abstract and then the other information first, but I prefer the latter. I like to have the company info first, then the abstract. And I like a picture too if they fit, but make sure the picture tells the story. Okay, so again, once the funding opportunity announcement or FOA comes out, make sure that still this is the case and read the instructions. It will tell you what to do for the most part down to step by step. But for your letter of intent, create your PAMS account and then follow the instructions and submit your abstract or that 2-pager in a PDF format. And then this will go through all this in another. So are we good with all the questions for the letter of intent?
I don't see any additional right now. Oh, let's see. Brian said, I went to SAM and now it shows that I have a UEI as well. So I think Brian was originally asking the question about the DENS versus the UEI. But it's,
okay, so they created one for you.
Does anyone have any other questions about the LOI before we move forward?
Nope. Okay.
I don't see any more right now, sir.
All right. So, so what you're going to be looking for, you know, once you get the letter of intent out of the way, you're going to be working on a project narrative. This is the proposal content itself, and there's also going to be page and word limits. For your phase 1, 15 pages. And again, I keep on saying the disclaimer, this is based on release 1's FOA. Release 2's FOA might change slightly or big time. So this, just keep in mind, this is just the flavor of what's coming up because we are getting ahead of the ball without having seen that new FOA. And agencies sometimes don't change things for years, and then suddenly 1 year change a word or two or another change everything. So but be prepared to have a project narrative that will be pretty much about 15 pages, 7,500 words. You're going to have a budget. I like for people to write their budget on a spreadsheet to match what it's going to look like on your application. And then the budget justification, make it a Word document that matches your budget line by line and explains why your budget is the way it is. And you're going to need to have a resume for each of the persons that you consider key and that are in your budget form. You're going to be having to write a commercialization plan that's going to be about 2,000 words. And there's an example on this link here. And then phase 2 will give you more pages, but typically this is going to be about a page and a half. At most 2. I don't think you're going to have space to do more than 2. Okay. And on the FOA, and when we go into the proposal writing and commercialization section, we'll be able to see what the content of the commercialization plan should look like, okay, and what questions should be answered and what the reviewers are looking for. And some of this can be done online. There's going to be a whole bunch of Q&A for you to make sure that you're a good company, you're not delinquent, and you've got to be testifying or saying that you're a great group of folks and have never broken the law. And then you're going to have a data management plan where you're going to specify what you're going to be doing with the data. It can be sometimes as simple as saying that it will be proprietary, but sometimes you're required to say more than that. The process, went through this.
Excuse me, I had a quick question on this slide. This is Malcolm Sedan with Good Edge Networks. Those sections that have a word limit, do they include graphics? So if I include the diagrams or graphics, is there a limit on images?
I don't think the words are counted on from the images, but the words on the figure caption probably will.
Okay. Can you show the previous slide number 9, please, for a second? Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll make these slides available, by the way.
Yes, we have an email that's going out that will include the Tuesday presentation as well as today, so you'll be able to go through both of them.
Yeah, I'll send this to you guys, Casey and Amanda. I'll give you a PDF file. But this comes pretty much these high-level bullets I grabbed out of the FOA as well. From the previous FOA, I expect the instructions to be very similar on this current FOA as well. So no need to be writing things real fast. You'll get the slides. Does that answer your question, Nashun?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
And what the SBIR program usually follows is the traditional or a traditional commercialization path, right? Where you have an idea and you prove it, then you create a prototype, you might have some iterations, you apply for IP, you then market and sales process, and then boom, you commercialize. So the SBIR program is a 3-phase program that tries to match this process, where they're paying you for at least the proof of concept and the prototype development. And so this is also, I grabbed this chart from one of the DOE's presentations, and it's pretty consistent for your phase 1 grant. You're going to see the topic. They're going to have webinars. There's phase 0 assistance, and there's information on the national laboratories. I like to recommend to work with national laboratories when it makes sense, because they have great facilities, they have similar missions, and they have a lot of the subject matter expertise. The only caveat here is that the national labs are not cheap, they're expensive. So just like if you would subcontract and do an STTR with a university or even an SBIR, you're going to be having to pay for these fees. They're not going to, these relationships, they're not going to do the work for free, but they usually have the expertise and the facilities. So I encourage you to find out what the national laboratories are doing and who's doing it, and see if it makes sense for you to do some collaboration. And then also now, like I mentioned before, DOE has their I-Core program, and it's called I-Core E. And as part of the I-Core program, the way the NSF created it was for you to do some customer discovery and need validation and business model validation. But this is only available if you win the phase 1.
I had a question about collaboration with the national lab.
Yeah.
I've actually been thinking of collaborating with one of the national labs. Would that be viewed as an unfair advantage or, conflict of interest because they're part of the DOE? No.
I have not found that experience, but it's kind of I would have the same question, but I have partnered with DOE labs in the past, so I find out which ones are best aligned with the mission of a particular program office and with the type of research they're doing, and I would reach out. But again, I would encourage you, when you reach out to the program manager associated with a topic, that you validate that and ask them, right?
Thank you. That's a good advice.
Yeah, I would do that, and talk to the national labs as well, and see if they have. You want to also find, and they should be aware of the SBIR program. They should be real experts on the program. So if they're not, then you might be talking to the wrong person at the lab.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, as you move forward and get awards, there's going to be quite a bit of assistance with they have a commercialization assistance program. They have now, I believe, also some matching programs. So you have to be very diligent in watching what resources they make available for you. And I didn't have it on this particular presentation, but I think I did put in a plug for my Taba Services. Most agencies now are supporting what's called technical and business assistance. And under phase 1 and phase 2, you can hire Taba providers such as myself, where we could help you with commercialization plans or different services to help you improve your likelihood of winning a phase 2 or to commercialize. So take a look into that. Typically a phase 1 is $6,500 and a phase 2 now with DOE is $50,000. So we could create a menu of services for you to fit into those funding categories. And what I generally do is I look at and perform a needs assessment to see what are your major gaps and where you need the most help. And that's where I focus the Taba Services. And we put together a proposal that you could use to include in your phase 1 and phase 2 proposals. And so you could reach me for that. Once we get done with the LOI, we could talk about Taba Service separate from this. So in summary, it's not easy. You've got to spend 100, 200 hours on a proposal. You've got to register early. Keep an open line of communication with the program manager for each of the topics. That's very important. Attend their webinars, watch their recorded videos, and read the solicitation word for word. You have questions, ask, please. And like Amanda gave you the list of upcoming topics, the next one will be on December 9th on how to find the right topics. We're going to be focusing on the ones that the program is sponsoring, which we're going to be on solar and water. And so we'll look at those more in a deep dive. I'm not going to be the subject matter expert for those topics themselves. So I suggest that you watch the videos and reach out to the program manager, but I will identify them for you. And we'll go through maybe a couple of exercises of looking for topics that have been funded in the past and using keywords and what other agencies could be having similar topics out there or needs for your technology. And then we'll look at writing proposals, evaluation criteria, and then legal process and IP and data rights. And that's it. Any other